So, how has been your day so far?
My day's been lazy,
Mhm.
very very lazy. Just the last couple of days I've been all over the place because there was so much happening. Days have kind of slowed down a little bit because the releases have happened and now the reviews are coming in, etc., etc. So just the days have slowed down a little bit. Yeah, so I start my day very very late, and sometimes I don't start my day at all if I don't have to.
So, congratulations for Ludo and Mismatched. I absolutely loved your performance and the authenticity you brought into the show. I wasn't
Thank
really
you.
prepared for the ending in Mismatched, by the way. I mean, when I saw the ending, I was like, oh my God, I'm heartbroken now.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the unanimous feedback that we've got so far.
Huh. So, I wanted to ask you, like Rahul in Ludo and Rishi in Mismatched, they are like two distinct characters, if I see.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they are so distinct and believable at the same time. But when it comes to falling in love, I mean, the effort you had put, even when you were Rahul, like you were, when you were about to propose her, she doesn't understand your language. You're going and transcribing it somewhere else. And
Yeah.
same as Rishi, like you were drawing a picture and asking her out for a date. So your avatars were very similar. When it comes to the effort. So with whom do you
But
connect?
your what is very similar?
Your character when falling in love is quite similar. I mean, the effort behind impressing your love,
Yeah.
it is quite similar. So with whom do you connect the most in real life?
I mean, see, I don't connect with Rahul at all, to be very honest, because he's a guy who is bullied. He's a guy who, well, for starters, he is homeless and he works at a mall as a sales boy.
Huh.
So I don't necessarily connect with Rahul per se. When you talk about the two characters professing love and how they're similar, I think uh, while the people may be different, but I think the emotion remains and it's the same. And I believe in bringing a little bit of myself into every character that I play because I feel like otherwise it'll not be believable. I don't find it believable if I just completely transform myself into a different person because then it's just like I feel alien, and I don't want my audiences to feel like that too. So I think who I connected to the most between the two characters that I played, I think, is Rishi because he's this guy who kind of wears his wears his heart on his sleeves and would go to any extent to kind of
Uh-huh.
express his love. And I think I am very similar to that.
Hmm.
He's a hopeless romantic, so am I. He loves his idea of romance has been influenced a lot by Bollywood, and I think so has mine. So I think I relate to Rishi a lot more than I relate to Rahul.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So Rohit, you've truly made a significant mark of yourself in the industry. If I ask you to reflect on this journey, how did it all start? Because since you have a non-filmy background, so how supportive was your family as well in this journey?
When I reflect on the journey, if there is a word that I had to kind of use to describe my journey, I think I would call it rich. I'd call it rich because I've in the span of 8 years I've seen and um, I've seen all kinds of things where I've if I've seen people accepting me, I've also seen what rejections are like. If I've seen the downs, I've also seen the ups. So I think it's been a very rich journey so far, and the fun part of this journey is that it's only begun. There is such a long way to go.
Exactly.
But my family is very very supportive. The fact is that my father wanted me to become an actor when I was a child, and I think that's where the thought was kind of planted in my head that you can be an actor, and we'd like you to be an actor. I always wanted to be a dancer initially because so I was actually always creatively very inclined.
Okay.
Be it performing arts, be it fine arts, I've always been very very inclined. Um, Creatively. But I think the acting bit came in when I was 15.
Acha.
Um, I randomly got a photo shoot done in back in Delhi when I used to live with my family, and the photos came out, and I just sent it to a couple of casting directors, whoever I could get the access to from the internet. And I just sent it to them, and I started getting calls for auditions the same day. And 7 days later, I'd moved to Bombay with a project in my hand, and I moved with my luggage. So and ever since then, I think there's no looking back. I remember when I went on set for the first time, I had to. I was not doing much that day, but I remember the director said action in the scene was that I have to walk into frame and I just have to look, and that's all I had to do. And I got done in 20 minutes, and they called. I waited for 8 hours first.
Okay.
We were shoot. I was on a night shift. I remember this was in Film City, and I waited for 8 hours. My call time was about 7, and my first shot happened at 3:30 a.m. I walked into frame. I stood there. I looked. I gave 11 takes for that. I remember, and because I didn't know how to act. I didn't know anything about acting, and whatever I was learning was happening on set. So I was made, like, they told me that it's a pack up in 20 minutes, but I remember those 20 minutes felt like an entire lifetime. I felt so happy being on that set, being in that environment, being in that setup, that I decided that there is no looking back, and this is what I want to do. Also, the fact that my father passed when I was 12, and I believed that, by being an actor, this is one way to keep him close to me still. So yeah, it's been amazing ever since.
Okay. So, as you mentioned that you had shifted to Mumbai once you got your call. So, how were your initial days in the city, in Bombay?
It's been, I mean, so when I moved to Bombay for the first time
Huh.
is when I actually stepped out of my house for the first time. I was never allowed on like school trips. I was never allowed to go to my cousin's house and my friend's house for like sleepovers, all of that. I was just never allowed. Um, and the first time I actually lived away from my family uh, at night was the day I'd moved to Bombay. So of course it was very daunting, because like I was all of 15 and I moved to Bombay, to a city where, forget about knowing anyone in the industry, I didn't know anyone in the city. So it was of course very daunting, and I remember constantly questioning myself if this is the right thing that I'm doing, because also I was very young. So there's all kinds of apprehensions. First of, obviously, if this is the right thing that I'm doing with my life, with my career option, with my choice. Then of course, then there's like security issues also. Then you don't know, if you're going to be safe or not, etc., etc. Because suddenly I came from a very sheltered background. I came from a very sheltered environment where everything was taken care of. I was taken care of. I was looked after. And from that to completely being on my own, from going to school and going to tuitions and like playing with my friends and like hanging out with them, to suddenly my days turned into like 15 hours of being on set. So it was a stark different lifestyle altogether. But having said that, I think now when I reflect on the choices that I made back then, I think I couldn't be more grateful. I think I'm very proud that I stuck to the decision that I made for myself at that time.
This is very inspiring. Thank you for,
Thank
sharing
you.
this out. So
Thank you,
what were
Aditi.
the kind of obstacles you faced in the industry?
Oh, I mean, for starters, I didn't know how to act. So that was a massive obstacle. Uh, like I mentioned, whatever I was learning was on set. So obviously, initially, with all the rejections that I faced, with regards to like going for ad auditions and like film auditions, so like I didn't even know where film auditions happen. I started off with a youth show on Channel V. So like I used to go and give TV auditions at that time, and like series auditions and ad auditions. And at that time, everyone would just reject me because I did not know anything about acting. I I I got my first part because I looked the part. They needed someone who looked a certain way, and I just happened to fit in that character. That's why they got me on board. And whatever I learned along the way, I think only happened with like practical experience with being on set and talking to directors. I think the one thing that helped me was that I've always been very, very curious as a person. So if you are someone who I want to learn something from, I will not let you go till the time I've learned that thing. Like I would keep asking you questions till the time I feel satiated with answers.
What about?
So yeah, so I think that's what helped. Yeah, but the obstacles, of course, starters is being like I didn't know the craft, I didn't know the people, I didn't know where to go, I didn't know how. Okay, sure, like I want to start, but where do I start from? Is something that was a bit of an obstacle. But I think the great part is that if you if you have the resilience, I think there is nothing that can stop you. If I feel like we're always just a decision away from kind of completely changing our life. My decision at that time was that I want to do this, and no matter what, no matter how much time it'll take, I will do it. And I think that's what helped.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So did you ever lose out on roles? And how challenging is it, to get good roles when the competition is so high?
So many times it happens, yeah. I mean, like I literally got rejected 1 week ago. So so it's a part and parcel, yeah. And it's earlier I used to think every time I would not get a role, I would always think that I would always take it to my head and I would always get bothered that, why didn't I get it? But later on, I realized that there is so much more that goes into a casting process, that goes into, getting a person on board as an actor. Because sometimes you're very good as an actor, but maybe you don't look the part. Maybe you just don't fit the bill. So
Exactly.
a director can't get you on board just because you're a good actor. There are so many more things that need to. For example, now if I'm giving you a hypothetical example. Let's say I go and audition for a film role where, let's say I'm supposed to play someone's son. Let's say I'm supposed to play uh, uh, I don't know, anybody's son, right? And if I don't look like their son, they're not going to cast me, because you have to look like a family after all.
Exactly. Huh.
So then I just realized that, yeah, everything is not like, the world doesn't revolve around me, and I need to like get out of this bubble and stop taking everything so seriously. I think everything's a part and parcel of being in this profession. Rejection being a huge part of it, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for all those rejections. Because one thing that I understand is that you have to be really, really strong headed. You have to be very level headed if you want to be in this industry, if you want to kind of survive the competition. And the good thing is that with all these with all the projects that I didn't get, I understood that competition is not always like negative. It's also very, very healthy. It's also something that kind of inspires you to grow. It creates room and creates space for improvement. So yeah, I mean, of course, I've given so many auditions. Yeah, matlab I've given in 8 years. You can imagine the number of auditions I may have given, but I obviously haven't got everything. But I don't I don't want to focus on the things that I haven't got. I want to focus on the things that I have got. And I think those are incredible projects that I'm very, very proud of.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So, how do you deal with your setbacks and failures, given at a time where depression and anxiety and other mental health issues have been, so prevalent due to work pressure? So, what has your take been on this?
I think you need to take the power away from rejections. I think
Mhm.
this is one thing. What's most important is that you need to not create scenarios in your head and have reliable people around you, like your family, who you can very openly speak with.
Mhm.
I think you need the first and foremost key thing to be able to deal with any kind of setback in life. I feel that works for me is talking. Be it my best friend, be it my family, anyone who I can confide in. I think communication has been a massive source of help for me. And also, like I said, you need to stop giving a rejection the power to kind of, you
Take
can't
over.
let that rule your mind.
Huh.
You know, I practice this philosophy, which is Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, and we're taught, we've always read multiple times, time and again, that you need to stop letting your mind master you, but you need to master your mind. And I think while that's easier said than done, while it's really really tough to do, but I think if you keep at it, I think you'll get there. And I'm on that journey myself. There are lots of times where I get very bothered by a setback in my life, but at the same time, what's important. I also feel like it's very very important to feel those emotions that you feel when you get a rejection. Let's say I don't get a project, I get upset. It's great that I'm feeling upset because that's what makes me human. I can't always be happy, I can't always be positive. There are moments where you will feel let down, where you will feel disappointed, and those emotions are as important as being happy and validated. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think everything's a balance and you just need to find it.
Mm-hmm. So, as talking about ups and downs, what was the
Yeah.
biggest challenge you had come across in life? And how did you handle yourself at that point?
uh, the biggest challenge, I mean, I don't know yet. I think the biggest challenge one an actor or an artist for that matter can face is I think self-doubt. And that comes like that comes as plus one with any kind of setback in life. Um and that doesn't just happen when you don't get a role. Let's say you do a film and it doesn't work, you do an ad and people make fun of that ad.
Yes.
Immediately, like, it attacks your self-confidence that you're not good enough. So I
Mhm.
think that is the biggest challenge that anybody faces, and I am no different. I feel like I also face the same challenges, but like I said, those challenges are very very important. Yeah, I mean, it'll be such a, I don't know, it'll be such a bland journey if you don't have these things.
Exactly. So, as an actor, how do you approach your characters? I mean, I have seen you in Dear Zindagi as a, as a little brother. Then in Hichki, you were that brat, of that school. Then, in Ludo, you are, being that, tum phas gaye the. Like you weren't really supposed to be caught, but you just got involved in that situation.
Yeah.
And, you were the star.
Yeah.
I still remember that scene, when Pankaj Tripathi comes up to you and asks, na, tumne breakfast kiya kya? And you are like,
Yeah.
so, how do you approach your characters? Because every character, has a detail about yourself. I mean, in a script, itna detailing to hota hi nahi hai. I mean, there's something in your characters. They aren't devoid of depth. How do you put it out? Like, how do you approach them?
Oh, wow. This is a heavy question. I don't think I can take the credit for the details of the character, yeah, to be very honest, because it's not just me. It's a lot of it is my directors. I think 90% of it is my directors. And like 10% of it is just like I have a I have this incessant need of not trying to be someone else while I'm playing a character. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to put it. Like coming back to the same point. It is imperative for me to be my most as close to the
Yes.
person that I am in real life. I want to be that person while I'm playing other characters too. So I think the detailing comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because okay, let's just put it this way: while the characters may be different, the emotions are the same.
Huh.
You know,
Exactly.
so I think that's what it all boils down to. I like, for example, there are so many people who say कि अरे यार इसके तो इंटरव्यू में सेम आंसर होते हैं. If I have the same questions, I can't make up stories in order to give different answers.
Exactly.
That remains the same. If you're asking me how was your experience working on Ludo, I'm going to say it was brilliant, but I'm going to say it was brilliant seven times. If seven times people are asking me, I'm not going to turn around and say, "Arey, it was not a good experience," but just because you want a different answer. So I think it's the same with the characters also, because you just the degree of emotions I think vary, but the emotions pretty much are same because in the end the characters are human. So so yeah, I think the detailing comes from from the story, the character arc, what the director has in mind, how the writer's written it, how I approach it. Because sometimes it can be an emotional scene, but I choose not to cry and just do it without do away with the whole crying business and just approach it in a different way. It's not necessary. So I think a lot of it is also like collaborative effort. It's experimenting on set. It's talking to the directors. It's trying to find what the character can be like, just to make it interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, what is that one thing which really inspires you being a part of this industry?
I think the fact that I can touch so many lives, the fact that I can sit in Andheri in Bombay and have a connection with someone who's sitting in Italy or Afghanistan or anywhere around the world. Just the fact that people from around the world have a medium where they can reach out to me and tell me that, hey, you moved me. The fact that I haven't met 99% of the people who are communicating with me today and they tell me that they love me is what inspires me. The fact that I can move people, the fact that I can touch their hearts, the fact that I can shift something in their lives is what inspires me. It makes me incredibly happy when someone tells me, hey, I watched your film and I'm feeling so happy right now. Because I think somewhat, I think everything that we do today, we want to there is one end goal to that, and that is happiness. I think everyone wants to do what they're doing to be happy. And I think if I'm enabling people somewhat in a very tiny manner to kind of be happy, then I guess that's the biggest reward one can get.
Okay. So, you have a very stylish wardrobe. Like, when I look at your Instagram, it's so appealing. So, who's your style icon or any inspiration?
Uh, I think I'm a sucker for like experiment. Like I love experimenting and I can't take any credit for that because like I have an amazing team. My stylist Ronnie Singh, she's fabulous and she pushes my buttons all the time when it comes to kind of like experimenting with clothes. Style icon, honestly, like I like people who experiment. Yeah, so I love Ranveer Singh. Like people say that he's whacked out and whatnot, but I love what he does because it's so amazing that you're basically you're erasing the boundaries. You're erasing these lines that have been set for people. That this is good and this is not good. So I think I love people like that. Um, there's an actor who I hugely look up to. His name is Timothy Chalamet, and he is fabulous. I think he's a brilliant actor. He's so young. I think he's younger than me. And the kind of clothes he wears, the kind of performances he's given, I think I'm hugely inspired by that. So I don't necessarily have like one person who I look up to for style. But yeah, I look at people and I get inspired. So that's that. But I think huge credit goes to my stylist and my entire team actually, because they are helping me build it for myself.
Okay. So there are so many aspiring actors out there looking up to you at this moment. So, one message for them.
Please do not give up. Please, I am requesting you, do yourself this favor. Do not give up. I think the darker the night, the closer the dawn. So just don't give up, even if you feel like it's the end of the world. Believe me, it's not. You'll be surprised to know how close you are to actually achieving your dream. So just don't give up, no matter what, no matter who tells you anything. If you believe in it, do not give up. Thank you, Aditi. Please take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Congratulations once again.
Thank you to you too.
Bye.
Bye.